Okay, now like what I was saying, the next match is for the WWE Tag Team Unification matchup. Is Chris Jericho and Big Show versus Crime Time, JTG, and Shad. Really, this should be a really good matchup. I love the build up. I love that the fact that they had Crime Time sort of look strong coming into the pay per view with by having I believe it was Shad getting a victory over Chris Jericho last week, sort of getting Crime Time momentum, and then the momentum switching back to Chris Jericho and Big Show's favor with Big Show getting the victory over Shad, but still it sort of kind of made people believe that Crime Time might take the titles off of Chris Jericho and Big Show with Shad getting the victory over Chris Jericho. And I just love the build up, and the promos have been just really good between the two teams. And it's just been all of the build up's just been great leading up to this matchup, making you sort of want to get into the matchup and make you want to see it even more. But in the end, though, if there's any team I got to go with in this matchup, I got to go with Chris Jericho and Big Show because they just got the belts, and Crime Time is really not. Crime Time has a reputation storyline wise of not winning the big matches like the title matches because every time they get in a tag team title match they always end up losing or they end up choking, and that's sort of been the trend that's been going on with this team whenever they get in tag team title matches, and I see the trend continuing here at SummerSlam. So I look for Chris Jericho and Big Show to retain the titles and thus I guess have a rematch again at the next pay-per-view or possibly have a match with DX. But since Legacy is having their feud with DX, I see another rematch between the two teams at the next pay-per-view, or there might be another team that these two might end up feuding with. But I still see Crime Time being the ones they're going to end up feuding with at the next pay per view. So look for Chris Jericho and Big Show to retain, and look for a rematch between the two teams at the next pay per view. Then we go to the sixth matchup. It's DX versus Legacy. The build-up has been pretty good as Legacy is starting to become interesting now, and they're sort of having a feud of their own now, which many people in the IWC has been talking about. I mean, this is the thing that Legacy, the two members of Legacy, sort of needed to break away from Randy Orton, like have their own storyline going, and this is what I'm liking with Legacy is that they got their own thing going and they got their own match leading into SummerSlam and their own feud going into SummerSlam. The build up has been really good with Shawn Michaels returning, Triple H getting beat down and having to go to Shawn Michaels to call for Shawn Michaels to help him so Triple H can get rid of the problem. And then of course the beatdown, what happened this Monday with Legacy, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. beating down Triple H and Shawn Michaels, sort of letting them know that they're gonna have to deal with them and that they accept their challenge and everything like that. Just been digging the build up, and really this should be a really good matchup. And this should be the match where Legacy should end up winning, or at least Legacy should end up looking credible in this matchup. Even if DX wins this matchup, DX ends up winning this matchup, Legacy should look real credible in this matchup. Not like how when DX buried the Spirit Squad and Spirit Squad didn't get any offense at all in that matchup on Saturday Night Live, or that feud when they had that match that they had against RKO, Randy Orton, and Rated RKO, Randy Orton, and Edge, where they just dominated them in that matchup, and Edge and Randy Orton got some moves in and other stuff like that. Really, that's what I mean by this is Legacy should look real credible even after the loss if they do lose, or they should get up winning this matchup to prolong the feud and make Legacy more stronger to the point where we actually care about them and they start building Legacy up and building these guys as the future. So let's hopefully the WWE does that, but knowing Triple H's ego, I'm pretty sure Triple H ain't gonna do that. He's gonna just bury these two and send them back to mid card or send them back to the point where many people are just not gonna take these two seriously. So I look for DX to just dominate this matchup and thus making Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes just look like jobbers in this matchup. And that's a shame too because these two really need to be built up as they're in legacy, and they really need to be built up to the point where they're the future. And pretty soon when they break away, people start looking at these guys to the point where, hey, these guys are the future and they might be future world champions or something like that. But I'm pretty sure it ain't gonna happen. But let's hope for the best. So yeah, I see DX just dominating this matchup and thus setting up a rematch, I guess, at the next pay-per-view or something like that. Then moving over to the seventh matchup, it's for the WWE title. It's the WWE title match, which might be either the main event or the TLC might be the main event. But I just have this on here as a seventh matchup. It's Randy Orton and John Cena for the WWE title. Now, really, the build-up has just been real piss poor, as they just haven't built this matchup all too well. I mean, if the WWE was smart, they could have just could have just picked up from what happened in 2007, picked up from the feud that those two had from 2007, and just sort of prolonged it with having John Cena wanting to get his revenge on Randy Orton for punning John Cena's dad. They could have just continued on that, but WWE didn't do that, and thus they just gave us some piss poor booking, some piss poor booking coming into this matchup, which makes you just not really that excited for this matchup. And really, I'm not really excited for this matchup, as like I said, the booking has just been real bad coming into this matchup, and that's something the WWE should learn when they made this matchup, as they should have just built this matchup from sort of like reminiscent of how they built their 2007 matchup. They could have learned from that and sort of went along with that and sort of picked it up from what they did back then, but they didn't, and thus we got a piss poor booking decision or booking coming into this matchup. But still, this should be a real good matchup because this is Randy Orton and John Cena, so I don't expect anything real bad between the two. Sort of expect almost the same as their 2007 matchup, or maybe a little bit better, maybe not, but still, I don't expect a bad matchup between the two. If there's anybody I would have to go with in this matchup, I got to go with Randy Orton getting the victory here against John Cena, because John Cena is going to be taking some time off, so it wouldn't make sense to put the belt on him. And Randy Orton is probably the best thing on Raw, the best thing going on Raw, so I don't see the WWE taking the title off of him. So I look for Randy Orton to retain and thus move on to another feud with whoever they're going to have him feud with at the next pay-per-view. So yeah, Randy Orton retains here. Then finally, for the main event, it's for the World Heavyweight title in the TLC matchup. It's between Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk. Now, really, I can't really the build for this matchup is just real. The build for this matchup, sorry about that, stuttered a little bit. The build for this matchup has just been awesome, with CM Punk wanting to get rid of Jeff Hardy and preaching his straight edge style to the fans, and telling the fans not to cheer for Jeff Hardy and go with Jeff Hardy and go with him, and that he can lead them to a better lifestyle and this and that. And then CM Punk just unleashing his rage on Jeff Hardy and attacking him and injuring him before the pay-per-view. And then of course you have Matt Hardy be involved in the mix, with him being the enforcer in the match that they had a couple weeks ago, and people thought that Matt Hardy was gonna screw Jeff Hardy over, but it turned out he didn't. He ended up helping his brother, and thus I guess Matt Hardy's a face. And just like I said, the build-up has just been real awesome, and I expect a real good matchup between the two, with Jeff Hardy laying it out and doing what he usually does in all his matches, CM Punk being CM Punk, and I just expect a real good TLC matchup between the two. In the end, though, I see CM Punk becoming your new World Heavyweight Champion, as Jeff Hardy, there's been talks about Jeff Hardy sort of taking time away and not renewing his contract, sort of taking a break from wrestling and to sort of think and re-energize his body. So they're going to go with some angle of CM Punk injuring Jeff Hardy more and then getting the belt, or they might have Matt Hardy turn on Jeff Hardy and have a Matt Hardy and CM Punk program, but who knows. But I still got to go with CM Punk to become your new World Heavyweight Champion. Anyhow, that's just my SummerSlam 2009 predictions for the pay-per-view.